Hey guys, this is John from US Dash Camera. Today I got a review on the Vava 2K dual dash camera. Now I have reviewed Vava dash cameras in the past. I can't remember if I reviewed one or two, but if I did review two, both of them were their classic puck style dash cameras that had a suction cup mount similar to this with a magnetic connector. But here you can see the difference between this one is it's not puck shaped. It is long and skinny, or wide and skinny, and it has a rear IR camera. Now the point of that is for recording inside of your car even when it's dark. So when it's dark, the IR lights will automatically turn on and it'll allow you to see inside or record inside your car while you are driving. So of course this is going to appeal to a lot of rideshare drivers like Uber and Lyft drivers or cab drivers. The previous cameras from Vava I reviewed only had a front camera, and I'd like to thank Vava for sending this out. They did send this review unit out to me. And as usual, if you are interested in purchasing this or any other dash cameras I mention in this review, I will post affiliate links down in the description. But let's get started. One thing I've always really liked about Vava is their cameras seem very high quality. This camera actually seems really heavy. Now, a lot of people think heavy means high quality, but I sort of question if there's just metal inside that adds weight just for the sake of making it heavier, because I actually weighed it compared to my recent review, the Vantrue N2S. It's a very similar form factor, front and rear camera with one body with a suction cup mount, and this camera was noticeably heavier, so I'm curious what adds so much weight to this. But either way, it feels like very good high quality. I felt like this was much higher quality than the Vantrue, not just the weight but just the build quality of it. So we do have the buttons here along the bottom, and a lot of people don't like when the buttons are on the top or bottom, but when you're using it, it does show on the bottom of the screen. And we'll show that in a sec, what those buttons are doing in context of what menu you're in, so it's very easy to use. We got a speaker on the side. And one thing I love on the bottom of this camera is a rear camera off button. So say you're Ubering or something and for whatever reason you want to turn the rear camera off. Maybe you only turn it on when you have a passenger. You just hit that button. It stops the recording of the rear camera, and if you want to turn it back on, you just hit that button again. So that's really cool. Every camera with a rear IR camera like this, I believe, should have a button like that. I don't think you should have to go into the menu to turn that off because that's too inconvenient. Along the top we have the micro SD card slot and the power input, which is unfortunately still micro USB. I would like to see USB-C in all newer cameras, but you know, it works, so I can live with it. Then of course we got the front camera. I do really like the quality of this, but one thing that sort of annoys me is this magnet doesn't always get in perfectly. That time I got lucky, but when I was taking it on or off, you know, it's pretty strong magnetic connection, which is good, but when I was reaching over, sometimes it would do that, and sometimes it wouldn't automatically snap into place, and normally it does. So once you get into place, it is really easy to point in the direction you want. I do like the mount overall though. It has a pretty nice lock and release button. And then here you can see it has a little spot to hold the cable. So when you plug it in, it'll go in there, and then you can have it wrap around, lock into there, but at the same time it gives room for the cable to rotate. So it's a nice design. That's how their previous mounts actually were. And these mounts do use the very sticky type of suction cup mounts. So if you take this off, you're going to want to save either this piece of plastic or use some sort of plastic bag to keep that clean, because if you let dust get on that, it's going to severely reduce the suction power and stickiness to it. So I'll quick give a rundown on the menu here on the camera. You can see the USB adapter actually has a pretty cool light up ring around it. That is the one that came with it. So I'll plug it in, and I'll demonstrate this button So that stops recording that rear camera. And then if you want to start again, it starts recording. So I really love that feature. You can see here the context of the buttons along the bottom. When you're recording, you got a manual record button, a mute, a power button, or not a power button, it turns the screen off, not the whole camera. And then you can stop the recording with this button. So from there you can see the menu. There's a couple different menus, just general, advanced, and system settings. So most of these are pretty typical: resolution, recording length, your Wi-Fi, GPS settings. In the advanced settings, you got things like the parking mode, which we'll talk about a little later, the G sensor. Driver fatigue will warn you if it thinks you have been driving for a long time and need a little reminder to stay awake. Not sure how useful that is, but these are all pretty basic settings that most dash cameras have, so nothing too out of the ordinary. But of course you can also watch your files directly from the camera. But since this camera has Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi is definitely going to be the easier way to go in my opinion. So the default password for your Wi-Fi is going to be 1234567 and from the Wi-Fi app you can download on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. You are going to be able to change any of those same settings from the apps menu, and of course you can also view your files on your phone. If you want to view the HD files, you are going to have to download it, and I will say that the download time was pretty long. It didn't go very quick compared to some other cameras, but overall their app works very well. I never had any issues connecting, and it's pretty well designed, so it looks nice. It does what it needs to do. So in regards to the video quality, I will say that the video quality was better than I was expecting. Compared to some other similar cameras with this form factor coming out in the last year, I thought this was the best of the bunch. Now some of the cameras like the Vantru N2S do support up to 4K when you're recording just single channel, but this one only does 2K front and rear max. But either way, I thought the video quality was very great. It never seemed very pixelated. Signs and license plates seemed pretty easy to read, and the colors seemed really natural, but also seemed to really pop. I really liked the color of these video samples. Now at night it seems to do pretty well also. I feel like this is a improvement over the previous cameras I used from Vava. A lot of people are going to be okay with just 2K resolution. Sometimes, depending on the bit rate, you might not even notice a difference between 2K or 4K if the 4K video quality is just not that great, especially at night where it starts to get pixelated. Now of course with the rear camera you are going to have excellent video quality. In reality you could be fine with 720p in the rear. It's not like you have to read license plates or street signs at high speed, but of course people are usually going to expect at least 1080p. The IR lights do turn on and off automatically, but I did feel that it was actually too sensitive, because there are times I drove through something like a parking lot or even just some street lights tend to make it think it's bright out and it turns off the IR, and sometimes it just switches back and forth too often. Now I don't think this is going to be a huge issue in all reality, but I think this is something I hope they could tweak with some firmware updates, because it did just seem a little bit too indecisive when I was testing this camera. Now there is a parking mode in this camera. I was not able to test it. It does require a hardwiring kit that I did not receive, but it is a very basic feature. I wouldn't say it's one of the standout features of this camera. It's more of an afterthought. If you have a hardwiring kit and it is connected to an always-on power and you turn parking mode on, when you are parked it will continue to stay on but wait until it senses an impact or vibration. It says vibration in the manual, and then it'll save a 15-second clip once it senses that impact. So it's not buffered, which means it doesn't start recording 15 seconds before the impact it senses. It only starts recording the moment after it senses that impact. There's no advanced automatic parking features like from ThinkWare or Blackview, but Vava isn't really a company that focuses on that, and all of their cameras are much cheaper than those other brands I'm talking about, so they're not apples to apples. But again, if you are looking for a parking mode, you're probably going to want to look at a different brand that focuses more on parking mode. So guys, overall, I think this is another high quality camera from Vava. They seem to really know how to make a high quality feeling product. All of the parts seem high quality. The app seems like it's well developed. It's clean, nice looking, doesn't have any issues connecting. Now, one thing I almost forgot to mention is it does also come with this remote Bluetooth button. So you can place this somewhere in your car, and if you want to mark an event file, you can just click this button, and that way you don't have to reach up to the camera. And if you reach up to the camera and try to hit it, you might mess up your camera's angle anyway, so this is a very nice included feature. I can say one of the downsides though is the GPS is not actually built into the camera. It is attached to the cable, so you are going to have to mount this to your windshield. So if you are looking to record inside of your car and be able to capture what's going on, maybe you're an Uber or Lyft driver, maybe you just want to be able to record inside of your car during traffic stops, whatever the case be, I think this is a very excellent option. I believe currently it's on sale for $169 on Amazon, and again, I'll post links down in the description if you're interested in purchasing this. That's about all I have to say about this, guys. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave them down below in the comments. And of course, if you like this video or my other videos, I'd appreciate if you hit like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I do have pretty regular dash camera reviews, and as usual, drive safe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.